All right, I'm a bureaucracy hacker. I'm an open data disciple. I know how to get things done. And I was looking to hire somebody.
And I'm the guy that got hired. Before this, I was a CfA fellow and a software developer.
By telling our story and sharing our lessons learned, we hope to help you be recruited and recruit into city government gigs. It all begins with our mayor, Mayor Faulkner. He was recently elected, the open data policy was moving through city council, and council wanted a chief data officer. So the mayor doubled down. In his very first budget, he created an entire department of eight positions with a chief data officer in the department reporting to me. As a department focused on efficiency, of course, we wanted to move pretty quickly. So we posted the position for only 10 days and advertised on social media. We weren't looking for a typical person that looks at government websites for government jobs. What we wanted is somebody with technical experience who wouldn't be lame if put in front of a mic at city council. You can imagine what caught our eye, a cover letter that started out like this.
I did not find this job opportunity on the City of San Diego recruiting site. In fact, that's probably the last place on the internet I would ever end up. I saw it on a Code for America mailing list, but if I hadn't, I should have seen it on Stack Overflow or on GitHub. City governments need to target technologists where they already hang out, such as meetup groups, mailing lists, and social media.
I made a point to involve the private sector in our interview process. I invited some folks with technical and coding experience to help me vet 57 resumes and participate in the candidate selection panel. By involving the private sector, it added credibility to our process, ensured community buy-in, and helped us evaluate a candidate's capabilities, both from a public and a private sector perspective.
Working in a startup of 100 people is very different than working in an organization of 11,000. Being responsible to a few shareholders is very different than being responsible to a few million taxpayers. Cities differ structurally, culturally, and procedurally than everything I was ever used to. The team was very upfront with me when they told me that I was going to be a one-man show. The policy was in place, and the chief data officer position was the final key. This was a challenge I couldn't turn down. Cities need to place the complexity that they have front and center in the recruiting process. For me, this was a challenge of a lifetime.
We went from job posting to issuing an offer in 4 weeks. But even then, Maksim already had other offers on the table, and we had to jump through a couple of hurdles for city government. We had to get him a MacBook. You guys know what I'm talking about there. We needed to wait 3 months for him to finish his CfA fellowship. I don't know what's up with that. And we also needed to figure out how we could get his fingerprints for the background check submitted to City Hall without him having to either chop off his finger or fly down to make a separate trip like our policy was requiring. Luckily, I worked out a deal with the personnel director, so that all worked out well. Cities, in order to be competitive and attract technologists, they need to be flexible, they need to be innovative, and they need to make decisions quickly.
When I learned that I was going to be interviewing with Mayor Faulkner, I had to do some soul searching about whether I should take off my piercings. After a thought process involving a loud Argentinian, a wise Russian, and a few Coronas on a beach in Puerto Rico, I decided I needed to get this job as myself. So with my piercings, I walk into the mayor's conference room and we sit down. He's a polite guy, so he asked me if I want a cup of coffee, and I'm an idiot, so I say yes. So he gets up and makes me a cup of coffee. We continue talking, and something prompts me to open up my MacBook, and my lid is covered with stickers. One of them is a large and prominent middle finger. So my laptop flicks off the mayor. A city culture where the mayor is willing to hire the Pierce guy who asked him for coffee and then whose laptop flicked him off is definitely a culture that's attractive to technologists. City governments need to put that culture front and center if they have it in place.
So I didn't need to tell Maksim and talk to him about the cup of coffee or the middle finger stick or anything like that. But after the interview with the mayor, I wanted to pull him aside, take him into my office, and talk to him about how he did, give him some feedback, give him some pointers in the future. I didn't mention the coffee or the middle finger again, but still, some pointers on how to talk to elected officials.
At that point, I knew I was going to have a mentor that was directly invested in helping me grow the skill set I did not have. City governments need to match the technological expertise that they're looking for with the mentorship and support to be able to implement it.
So just to recap, here's how we think cities can help connect technologists with government. go to the candidate, involve the private sector, communicate the challenge, be agile, show humanity, and provide support and mentoring right out of the gate.
The city's data inventory, the first and largest in the region, was a massive effort supported by 65 people across 35 departments for 4 months. Today, I get to work with some of the brightest people, and I get to do cool things on a very large scale. This is not something I would pass up. Here's a note that I got from our chief operating officer after an offhanded comment that I never got a welcome note when I first started.
Maxim, this is to remind you of how happy I am that we hired you. I'm so happy this is my second card to you. You lost the first one.
Let's see you get one like that from Zuckerberg.